So I want to discuss the architecture of the present conflict that we're in. Not the coming conflict, all right? It's already started. War is politics by other means, as Clausewitz points out, and just because the guns aren't firing yet doesn't mean the conflict isn't getting vicious. And, good Lord, 5 minutes of looking at it, it's going to get more vicious. We need to talk about what's going on. I predicted, 4 years ago, that this is when the Civil War would start. That World War IV would be a worldwide civil war. And I think what we're seeing is bearing this out. Antifa and the alt-right in the United States, Duterte over in the Philippines. If I'm wrong about India and Africa, well, I'm still standing by my theory. The migrant invasion in Europe, etc. I want to talk about what the architecture of this is, what the pieces are, how it came to this point, because we need to understand how we got here if we're going to understand what we do. And you'll notice that my thoughts are inspired by other people, other blogs I read. One is the Archdruid of America. I'll link down to his piece below. It's also related to my recent requested video that very much helped me get past the veils that we have on the left and the right and get at what's really going on. Cut the Gordian knot, cut through that. But let's start off with the pieces in play. What's been going on in our civilization up to this point? Now, the issue that we have in the world, to quote Fight Club, to paraphrase Fight Club, the TV all promised us that we were going to be millionaires and sports heroes and rock stars. And we woke up and we're all working at Starbucks, making minimum wage. And we are very, very pissed off. This was one of the early little ripples, one of the early warnings of what's going on. Because I don't think your average person today, we're not upset because we aren't rock stars. For crying out loud, we've got Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. We are rock stars. We're a generation of narcissists posting selfies day in and day out. We got that rock star promise. What we didn't get was jobs. The current economy, for the past 10, 20 years, has been training way more managers than we need. Every single one of us. We were promised, go to university, get a degree, go get a job. Doesn't matter what you take. You're going to have a nice white-collar job and you're going to be able to afford a house and a car. What they did is they trained more managers than were needed, because by training this many managers, again, you own a strip club, you got room for 10 girls, and there's 50 girls that want to work at your strip club? Ask Harvey Weinstein how that works. So we've got this managerial class right now. We were all prepped to be part of the managerial class, and we got there and there weren't any jobs. Those that did get the jobs, those that did manage to get into the corporation, those that got into the management, those that are working for the elites, they are crabs in a bucket, desperately clawing at one another, trying to climb over one another to prove that they are the best little house Negro, that they will say whatever that they're told to say, that they agree with everything, that they love Big Brother. Please don't fire me. Well, the rest of us are working construction, we're working at Starbucks, we're running our own businesses, making a little bit of cash. At the same time as they were prepping this management economy, the same time they're doing this, they're driving all the jobs. Either they're sending the manufacturing overseas, or they're bringing in the H-1Bs to outcompete us for the blue-collar jobs. So there's no opportunity at the top, like we were promised. And it turns out that while we were looking at the top, the bottom eroded out beneath us. So there are a lot of us. with no opportunities. And yes, we are very pissed off. Now, there's another consequence of this, of having all of these yes men, these crabs in the bucket, working management, is that this blinds the elites to what's going on. Have you wondered why it is that all these corporations are destroying their companies for the cause of social justice? Whether it's Star Wars, whether it's Marvel Comics, whether it's, like, you name it. We had, I believe Burger King was going on about the pink tax recently. Like, shut the hell up and make hamburgers, you idiots. I don't want to hear about the pink tax. Why are all these companies doing it? It's because the managers are so desperate to show allegiance to the elites that they're pushing these terrible, terrible policies. The elites have no idea what's going on because they're surrounded by yes men. And so instead of correcting any of these policies, because, guess what? Having a giant disenfranchised underclass of overeducated, intelligent people, very dangerous thing for a society to play around with. But the elites are not going to stop doing it because they are blind to the problem. Now, at the same time as we have this whole employment and education bubble going on, we also have a dearth of masculinity, a dearth of initiation of young men. We've got a generation of boys out there that have never learned to be men. They've never been brought into the fold. They've never been, all right, you've accomplished this, you're a man today. We have no rituals. We have no bar mitzvahs. You graduate high school, then, I don't know, borrow money to go to university and try and have as much sex as you can. We never become men. Simultaneously, we're not inducting men into society. So we're not teaching them to be men in the moral sense. We're also not helping them become men in the financial sense. They don't know what honor and virtue are, right? You're getting it from Marvel Comics and Star Wars, which, as we discussed, are co-opted. At the same time, you're not being inducted into the financial world. You're not being given a stake in society. Nobody is out there trying to apprentice young men. Nobody cares. Even if you're an accomplished young man. You know what? There's an Australian broadcasting corporation. There's an interview where they had Lauren Southern and Stefan Molyneux. And listen, I'm not throwing shade on Lauren Southern. Okay, she has done quite a bit. But she is, in her mid-20s? And she's beautiful. Stefan Molyneux labored for years to get where he is. And whether or not you like him, that's not the point. The point is that he, at 50, is getting what the girls are getting in their mid-20s. What does this do to the sexual market? Women seek after higher status men. And you can show status by winning a sports ball game or being an athlete. You can show status by being part of a respected organization. You can show status by having wealth. And right now, every social structure we have is bending over to try and induct women into it. Women already have a higher social status than men because they're women, they're beautiful, and they're precious. Without women, there is no civilization. Ask Romulus and Remus and the Sabine women. So instead of encouraging guys, inducting guys, and helping them become men in the moral sense, in the financial sense, no, we're doing it to women. Can you imagine a worse scenario for divisiveness and conflict and misery between the sexes of the women having their statuses artificially raised while we leave men who are already at a low status and just leave them where they are? So we have misery between the sexes. thanks to this insane system. And the result is this brewing conflict, this seeking out of answers. All right? You've got the left and the right. And I'm not going to pretend for one moment that these are equal. Okay? The left is full of effeminacy and soy and weakness. There are no men in the left. They think that by agreeing with women, they'll turn the women on. Of course, the women think that by nagging men, men will be more masculine. No, when you nag men, they become soy boys. Again, we were never taught how to relate to the other sex either. But that said, the left is not, they are weak morally, but they're not stupid. And they are right about many things. They are right about the corporate dominance. They are right about, well, you know, raising the minimum wage isn't going to solve things. But I'll tell you what, the minimum wage is not a livable wage. They are right about a lot of things. Although if you try and speak to them, you get autistic reeing because you have healthy testosterone levels. So I'm not going to pretend they're remotely equal. But what exactly are we doing on the right? What are our solutions? What have us conservatives managed to conserve? And now this conflict isn't just left and right either. Okay? It's also Protestant versus Catholic. Okay, the Catholics have tradition, and the Pope is an atheist Marxist that just destroyed the catechism. You know, the Protestants, meanwhile, have, you know, sola scriptura, and beer, and football, and as Hillary Clinton would say, lots of pizza and hot dogs. Okay, and again, Protestantism is not a church, it's 300 churches. Very easy to buy them off with a couple of scraps tossed their way. Look at what Reagan did. No societal force there. We could go on and on about this. All of these, you know, both sides are right, both sides are wrong. You got game, you got incels. Incels are right. The game is rigged. Most of them don't have a chance. The game gurus are right, that if you get your act together, wash your balls, like Peterson says, and go approach women, you will eventually get laid. It's not that hard. Both are right, both are wrong, neither are addressing the real issue. And now that said, let's get to what the conflict is going to be. Conflicts tend to arise, there's three crucial issues: race, language, and religion. And these are a bit of a Venn diagram. And the way that things are aligning right now, the conflict is going to be those that are pro-European versus those that are anti-European. Okay, and remember, we're talking about two Venn diagrams. Trying to use established groups to figure out what's going on. For instance, take Catholic, you know, which would be my group. At least half of the Catholics are anti-European. Okay, at least half of them are pro-migration waves. I mean, good Lord, we had a bishop in Rome saying he would be happy if all the churches turned into mosques to make the migrants feel more happy. All right, we have bishops saying this stuff. So just because somebody's Catholic doesn't mean they're on our side. Just because somebody is on the left wing, again, there are good principled reasons to be on the left. Just because somebody is white doesn't mean they're pro-European. We're inundated with whites that are completely, they hate Europe. And just because somebody's non-white doesn't mean they're opposed to Europe. Some of them migrated here because they want to join the culture and become a part of the culture, eventually blend into it. Those people are not anti-European. They will be fighting on the side of pro-Europe. And finally, even if somebody is white and ostensibly pro-white, that's not sufficient either. All we need to do is look at the massive failures that we have seen in the alt-right. Look at Matthew Heimbach, getting into that, and again, Orthodox Christian, basically trad Catholic. And he gets into that embarrassing situation where he's sleeping with his father-in-law's new bride and getting into a fist fight and getting locked in prison. You've got Christopher Cantwell that's playing Nazi marching tunes on his podcast. You've got Richard Spencer, who just recently slept with one of his lieutenant's girlfriends. Are you kidding me? These people are not on my side. They're a bunch of attention whore narcissists. And quite frankly, folks, go look into the history of white nationalism. White nationalism has never been good for white people. It's never been good for Europe. It's always attracted lunatics and derelicts. And here's the foundational problem, is this goes back to the left and the right. The left, the anti-Europe, they know what they stand for. They stand for the destruction of Europeans. They know what it is. Our problem is we don't know what we are. These, again, you look at the white nationalists and how they're running around like a bunch of idiots. These people are not a product of 1,000 years of civilization. These people are a product of the past 50 years of civilization. They are beer and pizza and football and synthetic clothing and rap music and rock and roll. That's it. That is all these people are. On the one hand, the anti-European forces are weak. Foundationally, they're low testosterone, they're low civilization, etc. We have the advantage over them there. However, our disadvantage is that we don't know what it means to be European, that we don't have civilization, we don't have hierarchies, we don't have organization. Anarcho, tyranny. Neither of those are on our side. What we need is men with the vision to restart civilization. Civilization's already gone. People are fighting in the streets and trying to destroy one another's livelihoods. That's not civilization, that's war. Marching in the streets with placards, marching in the streets with tiki torches, that's not civilization. We need men with vision. And we need men, we need boys that are going to become men. And we need organizations and hierarchies of virtuous men that are going to network, not to march down the street with slogans on your t-shirt, plastic helmets on your head, and tiki torches in hand. Okay? That's the same consumer garbage that got us into this mess in the first place. No, what I want is virtuous men, heroic men, men that know their history, their myths, their past, their accomplishments and their failures, and men that are going somewhere, men that can follow orders, men that want to be part of a noble band of brothers. You know, it's the winners that get to write history. But the people that start history are the losers. Romulus and Remus and their band of Romans that had to go over and seize the Sabine women to get brides because none of the old men would trust them with their daughters. You've got Charlemagne and his paladins, Roland, the drunken lunatic that ran across Europe going insane because of lust. Losers. And then you've got us. The men who were promised the world, and when we grew up, there was nothing there. Nothing but one another, nothing but bitterness and video games and posting on 4chan. Biggest losers who have ever lived. And we're the losers that are going to restart civilization. I don't care about anybody else. I don't care about those that are comfy in their corporate jobs. I don't care about the elites whose own children are turning into transsexuals and homosexuals and lesbians. I don't care about the proles who just want to go along and get along and watch the sports ball on TV. I don't care about the helots who are just sucking up government money, and yeah, they're having 20 kids. But the moment those kids become inconvenient, they get sterilized or put in prison. I don't care about any of those people. There's a great culling happening, and there's no better time for it. Some people have been speculating about the plague that's coming because we are so well set up for a plague right now. And you know what plague sounds like to me? It sounds like opportunity. Let's clear the playing field. We've got the technology, we've got the culture, we've got the books. How about we start organizing and actually start doing something to help one another turn into better men, to more wealthy men, to more solid men? We are going to build a new Rome. And the Sabine women will be ecstatic when we ride off with them on the back of our motorcycles. Guys, get your shit together. If the pro-European forces are going to win, you need to be a virtuous and heroic European man. Deus Volt, Aurini, out.